Welcome back to Tie Down TV, the punk rock opinion show with me, Geoff.
And Danny.
And today we're doing our top 5 punk songs that irritate us.
And this will probably be, for now, be the last of this little run of negative videos you've been doing.
Yeah.
We've done about 3 or 4 in a row now.
Yeah, time to get back to some positivity and love, man.
Yeah, but we're going to leave you with a good negative moan beforehand. So we're talking about our most irritating punk songs. Be dead easy, wouldn't it, to throw a load of obvious bands under the bus. I'm going to avoid the likes of Blink-182, Green Day, Sum 41, Good Charlotte, all that stuff, for the simple reason, the reason I'm going to avoid all that stuff is I'm going to answer this I'm going to tell a quick little story. This story isn't why I'm avoiding it, but might give you an idea of the reason why I would avoid this type of stuff. Went to a gig about 2 weeks ago, really good thrash metal gig in Chester. It was Exorder and Violence, and one thing I always say about the thrash metal crowd, they're a happy-go-lucky crowd. They like their beer. They like to have a beer, a pizza, and just slam in the pit. You know, always got smiles on their faces. They just want to get, get in that pit. And as Exodus said, good, friendly, violent fun, right? And that's what it's all about. And I was at this gig, and just stood next to us was a man in a Black Sabbath shirt who I presume was his son, who had a Green Day Dookie shirt on, and the kid must have been about 12. And just in front of us was where the circle pit was going on, and it wasn't a massive circle pit. It was about eight thrash kids in it with the denims and the long hair and all that. And as we were looking, you could see that this kid, he wanted to, maybe it was something he'd seen on TV or on videos, and you could tell he really wanted to get involved, but anyway, in the end, his dad said, "Go on, you'll be all right," kind of thing, and he ran in on the enticement of a few of the fellas lads in the pit who were going, "Come on!" And he ran in, and they were going round, and there was one big dude who looked like Vader from the wrestling who was stood there, who they were all going into, and this kid jumped in, and he was spinning with them all, and you could tell he was having an absolute time of his life, and he was there in his little Green Day shirt. And it just made me kind of think they're probably a son and dad who, they're probably not massively into like music like we are, but they're probably from the area of Chester. Not much happens there, and the dad's probably into like Metallica and stuff. If I'm judging for a second, and he said, "Come on, son, I'll take you to your first metal gig." Yeah. And he's gone to they've gone to this metal gig, and this kid's gone in. You can tell he's had the absolute time of his life, and I seen it, and I watched him. I had the biggest smile on my face, as this kid was in no danger. He'd been, he was having the time of his life, and I just thought, that right there is what it's all fucking about, right there. Absolutely. It's not about kicking someone in the face who's there, and just fucking making sure they never come again. That right there is what it's all. That was one of the most hardcore things I've ever seen. Yeah. It was literally what it was all about.
Fucking punk rock, man. And, family.
Yeah, and I thought, who's to say now that kid ain't gonna go back to his house, to his house later on and go, yeah, this Green Day stuff's cool, but now after being to that, I want to check out some of the shirts that these guys were wearing. Yep. Like what we used to do on liner notes and CDs back in the day.
Absolutely.
And, so I think those bands that I've mentioned there, your Green Days, Blink-182, Good Charlotte, all them, it's easy to attack in a video like this, but I think those bands need to exist because they're good. It's good for the kids. It's good for the kids.
100%.
And they need a gateway somewhere.
Bands, yeah.
And I could throw the Offspring in there, but fuck the Offspring. But those group of bands, that's why I'm not going to attack any of them bands. Can't speak for everyone else sat in this room, but that's why I'm not going to attack them.
So I approached this more of so a couple of weeks ago we did the bands that we hate, dislike, however you want to word it. So I haven't picked any bands that I've picked there because that's too fucking easy to pick bands that you dislike. 4 out of the 5 bands I've picked I'm a fan of in some form, and one of them I don't hate them, just don't like them as much as a lot of people do. So these are bands who I like, and some of them I love their discography, but there's 1 or 2 or maybe quite a few songs that fucking piss me off for whatever reason. That's how I approached it. There might be one band or so that you've mentioned there, but I will explain myself when it comes to that.
That's fine. And going back to what you said, there's 2 bands in this I'm a fan of, 3 I'm not.
Yep, fair.
Without further ado, the most annoying song ever in the history of punk rock has got to be Nellie the Elephants by the Toy Dolls. And as soon as we decided to do this video, it was the first one I thought of. It was my instant pick. I honestly think it's honestly, I can't stand it. But it's not just that it's an awful song. I've got memories, bad memories. You know, fellas, older punks, arms round me like this, headlock. Nellie the Elephant, back the trunk, like that. Fucking 18-year-old kid, like, fucking hell. And then you think it's over. Hey, Nellie the Elephant, back the trunk, like that. And then you're like, fucking hell, that's horrible. Fucking armpit sweat. And you think, oh, it must be over now. Nellie the Elephant, back the trunk. You know what I mean? And it's just fucking, it entices that kind of behaviour. Do you know what I mean? And I just can't fucking stand it. Horrible video, horrible song. You know, punk bands back then loved a nursery rhyme, I guess, back then. A few of them, you know what I mean? But I just think that is the worst song ever. And yeah, I've got some PTSD because of it over the years.
Nice. So you were referring to stairways when you talked about people putting their arm around you?
Oh, and parties and all sorts of stuff.
Because that used to be played in stairways last.
Yeah.
So what you were getting there was from like, what time stairways open? 9, was it? 7?
Something like
9?
that, to like 3 in the morning.
Yeah. So you were getting that amount of sweat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything to add? Nah, not a fan. No. Don't care for it. Never really listened to that band outside of that song.
I've heard a few songs, I don't like any of their songs.
So, yeah, that's that. Alright, so, I'm going to go with a big one here. I'm going for Anarchy in the UK by the Sex Pistols.
What?
So this was the one band that I'm not a huge fan of.
No, neither me and you are fans of this band.
Don't dislike them a lot. Because I actually listened to the album this week because I thought, you know, there's definitely a couple of those songs that really irritate me and annoy me. And you know what? I think almost all of their songs on that first record are better than this song now, when I listen to it back now. And over the years, it started to irritate me more and more for various reasons. First of all, just when I hear it now, when he rhyming Antichrist, Anarchist, not having that. But, so even when he wrote it, he said, oh, he doesn't really believe in anarchy. Okay, cool, that's fine. You can write about things you don't believe in. But then he goes hard on, like, The Clash for not writing what they really believe in and where they really come from. Yeah. So I think, all right, mate, hypocrisy.
Yeah, but everyone's a hypocrite.
Of course they are. Of course they are. Yeah. These are just my reasons, man. And I just think like, oh God, like this Holidays in the Sun is a fucking belter of a song, and EMI is a great song. Even God Save the Queen, they're all better than this song, I think. And as I get wound up, and part of the reason is, and we've said this in the past on camera and probably off as well, when you tell like a person outside of the alternative world you're into punk, they always fucking go to the Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
And I just that just is a little bit irritating as well, and I just think, you know what, they're not even the best band from that fucking time.
Yeah, but we know that. Me and you aren't fans of the Sex Pistols. We've always said that anyway about them.
So when I'm picking songs,
I don't know. I mean, of all the songs to pick to be irritating, you pick Anarchy in the UK.
That irritates me quite a lot. As I said when we were talking about the bands we hated in punk, I actually find it quite hard because even the genres, subgenres and things in punk and hardcore that I don't like and aren't for me, I don't necessarily hate a lot of it. I appreciate it for what it is. It's just not my thing. But and then, like, as I'm getting older, it irritates me more.
Right, okay.
So that's my first pick.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. My next pick, I've gone for a cover. Now, it's not unheard of the punk bands cover old soul songs. It's been done a lot. But I think this particular one is terrible. And I've gone for the Slits version of I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Heard It Through the Grapevine, originally written, I believe, for Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Made famous by Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye, one of the greats, I think me and you would both agree. Yeah, one of the greats. One of the great American poets, one of the great American voices. Just, you know, he's just one of them, isn't he? You just can't knock Marvin Gaye, he's just great. No. What I hate about the Slits version of this song, whenever I hear it, whenever I listen to the cut and that comes on, it's a fucking skipper straight away. Mm-hmm. There's a real, like, pretentiousness to the way she sings it. Mm-hmm. There's a real, like, artiness and pretentiousness to the way she sings it that really grates me, and it's like someone's putting their nails down my back. I hate it. And, you know, I've done a little poem as well, like, to end this little segment about this song. I'm just going to leave you with it, and this is the poem. If you mess with Gay, you're going to pay. Hear what I say? On the Punk Rock Opinion Show.
Nice. Cool. I like the band, but yeah, I don't really like that cover. I will shout out the Creedence Clearwater Revival version's great as well.
Yeah.
Right, so number 2 for me, I've gone for a cover, and maybe ties into what your first pick was, so I've gone for Banana Splits by the Dickies.
I don't find that anywhere near as annoying as Nellie the Elephant.
No, but it's a novelty.
It is a novelty.
You know, it's a TV programme thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just one of them songs that you'd fucking hear it, and it's, yeah, alright. For the fucking longest time, it kept me from listening to the Dickies, and I every time I just think it's shite. Much like I never listened to the Toy Dolls because of that song as well. It just fucking, I hate it. I hate that song. I will say that once I actually pulled my finger out and listened to the Incredible Shrinking Dickies and hear them like doing a cover of Paranoid by Black Sabbath, for instance, which is obviously nowhere touching the original, but it is a fun, decent cover. I just thought, okay, and then listen to that album. It's a good record. It's tuney, catchy, hooky, but you know, it's got that fire and energy behind it. And then I thought, okay, yeah, so these are more than just that fucking novelty band. But even now, if I listen to the Dickies, that song is getting nowhere near either my turntable or the fucking on the Spotify. Like, hate it.
I mean, I won't knock you for picking that. Obviously, I mean, it's a novelty, as you said. But again, I don't find it anywhere as annoying as Nellie the Elephant. Now this one, I'm setting my set. Probably the next 3 actually. I've saved these last 3 because I reckon all these 3 could cop me a bit of hate here.
From me?
From you, yeah, and from everyone. But from you, and we can have it out if you want, because a band that very nearly made my most disliked hardcore bands list than what we did about 2 weeks ago. And they missed out because of one EP they released, and that's the Dead Kennedys. Not a fan of the Dead Kennedys at all. In God We Trust is what saved them from that, because that's a cracking EP.
It's amazing.
Amazing. Right, I don't like him. I can't stand his voice. Now, Geoff, I'm going to ask you one question. I just want one word answer. Whenever we talk about Gerald Biafra's vocal, right, what's the one word you always use to try and stick up for his vote? What's the one word you use to describe it all the time?
Obnoxious.
Right, okay, so whenever we've had this little argument about Dead Kennedys, I've gone, I can't stand his voice, I can't stand him, you've gone, and his voice is horrible, and you've gone, it's dead obnoxious, innit? Like, that's a good thing. No, I disagree, right? I disagree with you completely. He doesn't sound obnoxious. Do you know what he sounds? Cold. That's what he sounds, cold. And I don't mean cold as in Stone Cold Steve Austin cold. I mean cold as in he's fucking freezing.
Okay.
Right. He sounds like he's gone to fucking Wet and Wild, jumped down a slide on a cold day, and he's going...
I can hear it now.
So what's the song I've picked? The song I've picked is Police Truck. I could have picked a lot of songs by them.
Tune, man.
No, right. And I'll tell you why, right. Kid, PlayStation, Tony Hawk's. There was a few songs on that soundtrack that used to annoy me, but that one really used to piss me off. The way he sang it, it sounds like a surf song, which I don't mind surf, garage surf stuff. Yeah. But there's something about that fucking song. Oh,
drugs.
Yeah, nah, I just can't be doing with it. I can't be doing with them. Dead Kennedys for me, nah. I'm not a fan. His voice is horrible, and like I said, he sounds fucking freezing.
Cool.
So yeah.
I mean, I love the Dead Kennedys.
I know you
personally. I love that song. And when I say obnoxious, like I don't think across the board. Some because like I think Keith Morris sounds quite obnoxious when he sings as well. I think it's in a good snotty way.
Most punk singers sound obnoxious.
Yeah,
that's the idea.
I think he just has that more.
No, he sounds cold.
All right. He sounds cold.
He does.
I think that's a great tune. But anyway, so next one for me, I've gone for I Can See You by Black Flag. Now, this is a band I'm a fucking huge fan of all their periods, pretty much. This was the last EP of the Black Flag that existed before the fucking shit show that exists now. And this song, right, it's 3 minutes and 20 seconds. It feels 3 times as long as that when you listen to it. It's fucking awful. It's so meandering. Repetitive lyric over and over again. Remember when we saw the Black Flag fucking
fake flag,
the fake flag, yeah. And I don't. You probably don't even remember it, but they played that song, and I was just like, "Fucking hell!" And you were like, "What the fuck is this?" Even you were like, "This is shit," and it's awful. So irritates me again. I'll listen to pretty much across the whole discography right up to In My Head. I can't listen to that track specifically. I can't listen to it. it gets on my fucking nerves, man. I hate them. I hate that song. Sorry, I love Black Flag.
He hates Black Flag. Did you hear him?
Oh, it's cancelled.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go.
The Clash. Should I stay or should I go? I've mentioned this before. This is maybe going to cap me some heat as well. But I've got to say, this song really irritates me and always has. Now, I've spoke about Blick Street Bop annoying me, but that's kind of grew as I've grown to love the Ramones more. Still don't love that song by any shout. Should I Stay or Should I Go, though, is still a song that when I hear it, I think I hate this song. I think this goes back to when I was a kid. I think my dad had a compilation and they used to play in the car where it had a load of best of British working class rock bands kind of thing. And I remember T-Rex was on it and The Jam and maybe Slade. And I remember loving all them songs that were on there. But then Should I Stay or Should I Go would come on and it used to annoy me. And you know why? It's weird because it doesn't really sound like these two songs. But you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Whatever You Want, Whatever You Like. I don't know why, but it reminds me of that. Okay. Maybe it's like it's the chorus, but it also reminds me of that shit Kings of Leon song. You know, you want it, you got it. No, 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 no. It just reminds like. It's got a similar kind of like sing along that, you know, the chorus and that, and it's just like, nah, I can't be doing with you. It does my head in. And I love the Clash. I love them, especially the first album. But that song still to this day, I can't deal with it. It just annoys me.
Fair enough. No words. No words.
Yeah, well that's fine.
I like it. It's cool.
Don't get me wrong. I've got an ear enough to know that it's a great rock and roll song. Yeah, you know what I mean? I've got the ear enough to know it's a great rock and roll song. But you hate it. Just irritates me. It irritates me.
Fair, man.
Yeah.
Right, cool. Next one for me, I've gone for Last One to Die by Rancid. Talked about them a lot on here. You don't know I'm a fan and he's not. They're a band when we talked at the beginning of your Green Days and Blinks, they were one of those bands for me. They were a gateway band. I love them. Especially their first 5 albums, I'll back up. I'll stand behind them. I think they're great. Then they did the Indestructible one, which they kind of reached for mainstream a little bit. You could tell, you know, and it was the first time that they'd even gone, like, a distribution was through a major label, blah, blah, blah. But I still think it had some good tunes on it. And then there was like 3 years silence, and then this tune came out. It was like the comeback song. And do you know what, right? I remember hearing this thing, like, fucking hell, is that it? Like, that's a bit underwhelming. It's a bit boring. And I kind of saw Rancid probably the way you see them, if that makes sense. Like, for the first time, I kind of looked at them and thought, yeah, so that's what everybody kind of thinks. It's like very generic, it was very boring. These, just last one, just talking about being the last ones of their fucking thing, even though loads of the bands they play with are still around. And I put this because, like I say, up to the point anyway, that a band whose whole discography up to there, I can quite happily throw on from time to time, maybe not so much these days that I listen to it, but this song and then from that period on, I feel like they got really fucking lazy, and that's why it irritates me, because I feel like they didn't push themselves at all after that, and it just got a bit lazy and generic, and every 3-4 years we'll churn out an album, and it started to feel like they were going through the motions as a band rather than actually putting any fire and spirit into it, and that's why that song irritates me so much.
Well, they irritate me altogether.
Well, yeah, fair enough. Like, yeah.
Last pick. Have you ever got into a band? Have you ever heard the song and for years you knew that song, you became so familiar with that song from hearing it over and over and over again, but you never knew who did that song, you just knew you hated the song? That's what happens. That's what this pick is all about here. So I'm a big fan of Milo Goes to College by the Descendents.
Stone Cold classic.
Yeah, I love it. And I like the EP. What's it called? Fat
Fat EP.
Fat EP. Yeah. We went to see Descendents fairly recently, and we were there. Obviously, he's in his element because it's just his thing all over. But you know, I'm a fan of that first album quite a lot. I love it. And we're stood there and we're watching and they're playing the songs and all that. And then he played this song, which I had no idea was by the Descendants. I had no idea, believe it or not. And that is I'm the One, right? So we're stood there. Next minute they start playing it and I go, they do this song, right? I'm going for a piss. I hate I'm the One by Descendants. I used to hear it. I had no idea they did it. But it was one of them. I knew it so well.
On Saturdays.
Yeah. And then it'd be like one of them songs you just hear everywhere. And then when we went to see him, you know, I know all the songs off Milo and all that, and then they play that, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know this was by them. I hate this. And I listened to it again today, and I was like, this is horrible. This is such a horrible song. Oh, and I watched the video, and he's even irritating me in the video. I can't be doing with it, Geoff. I can't be doing with it, honestly.
Cool. Yeah, I'm a fan of most of the Descendents discography again. I get it. I get why you don't like that.
That's a horrible song.
That came out in '96, and it was on Epitaph, and it was right around all the No Effects, the Rancid, all the stuff.
Horrible stuff, all of it.
Basically, anyway. All right, last one for me. I've gone for American Idiot by Green Day. So this was the band that I said that Danny mentioned at the beginning that I'm going to pick. However, I will say this. So
sly that, like kicking a little puppy while it's down.
I'm going to stick up for Green Day a little bit as well, because again, they were the first band you could label as a punk band or whatever that I actually went, ooh, yeah, I like this. Which obviously was Dookie. I like the first 3 or 4 albums. I think they're good.
I think that's being generous, actually.
They paved the way, though. Do you know what I mean? You know, up to Dookie, and then the one after it was quite good, I thought, as well. But, you know, it's nothing fucking thingy. And anyway, American Idiot, when that song came out, again, I think they'd been away for a while. I wasn't really following them that much by this point, as much as I had when I was like a younger teenager. And this song, I just thought, oh, it's alright, innit? Oh, they've gone very political. And then it just fucking spared this whole thing after that of them. And good for them, like, because they had a whole second wave of success, didn't they? This irritates the fuck out of me, this song, and we'll get to that point in a minute, though. And it just... Green Day became a bit of a, just again, a mediocre band for me after that. Whatever. This song, the reason this song irritates me so much these days especially is because if you listen to the song Double Whiskey Coke No Ice by Dillinger 4, and right there, from the opening of that song, you go, oh, fucking hell, oh, that's where they got it from. It's carbon, and you know they're a fan of that band. That's on public record. I'm pretty sure Billy Joe said about it. So he blatantly ripped it off. I think it might have even went to court over it or something. And I just think this fucking song that everyone buzzes off riding high is a blatant rip-off of a fucking 10 times better song. That's why that fucking irritates me. I think Green Day, I think Billy Joe was a great songwriter, especially early on. I enjoyed a lot of his stuff. From this point on, I've not been a fan. But that song specifically gets on my fucking tits nowadays because of that.
That Holiday song's worse. On holiday, that's worse.
Yeah, I mean, that whole album's not for me, like, but...
Right.
Yeah.
Is that all 5?
It's all 5.
Just remember, people, it's the Punk Rock Opinion Show. We always like to say on these negative videos, it's all just opinion.
Yeah.
Right, so that's everything. So now it's time for Cond Are They? We've had one sent in.
We have, and this came in last Sunday, literally just after you left and we'd filmed last week's episode. So this is from someone who follows us on Spotify, on fucking Instagram, called Sparrow.
Who unfortunately hasn't told us where he's from.
Yeah, but Sparrow, Satanic Boot Boy 82 on Instagram. So he messaged me and said that he bought a copy of Where Have All the Boot Boys Gone, which is, I believe, is like a proto-oi, glam rocky kind of compilation. Sounds pretty cool. Anyway, I think he said it's on the 2nd or 3rd disc. There's a track that plays and then plays again instead of one of the other tracks.
So the other track is gone?
It's gone. Oh. And that one's duplicated twice. And the song, he said, is Saturday Night by Bilbo Baggins. I actually haven't listened to the song. I don't know if it's good or not, so whether you want to hear it twice, but that's a fucking con. If I buy a record and a song is fucking missing and one's duplicated,
that's a manufacturer's con, that.
Yeah, full on. So yeah, there you go. And also, just a quick one for anyone else follows us, we've had a first, haven't we? We've had a con resolution. So if you remember, it was a few weeks back now when I talked about ordering the tape Crossed Out 91 to 93 collection on Discogs, and it had gone missing in the post, and it had been a couple of months, fucking turned up. And not only was that a resolution to a con, this was on my Holy Grails list way back when we did the Holy Grails. So,
so you've got one of your Holy Grails.
Double fucking whammy.
Yeah.
So there you go. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, jump in the comments, let us know, the fucking songs that irritate all yous. Give us a like and a subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, Instagram, Facebook, messages, follows, likes, all that stuff. We love it and it all helps. See you next week.